This is Panasonic's entry-level HD camcorder. The HC-V110 features AVC HD recording and 1920 by 1080 resolution, 72 times intelligent zoom, and it can take 8.9 megapixel photos, although that's highly interpolated because it only has a 2.5 megapixel image sensor, has a wide-angle 34.4 millimeter lens, and an image stabilizer. But the big downside from the previous model, the HC-V100, is that the image stabilizer is only electronic now, is no longer an optical image stabilizer. Inside the box we get the camcorder itself. This one happens to be the red color. It comes with a tiny little battery, and you can see they left extra space for a larger battery to be installed without sticking out of the back of the camcorder. So with the stock battery installed, it looks a little strange because you can see how it's indented from the rest of the camcorder body. In the box we also get the software on a CD, HD Writer LE, some kind of low-end video editing software for PCs. I don't think it comes with anything for a Mac. This is the owner's manual CD. And we get a printed manual. The manual is all in English, and it's pretty good as far as manuals these days goes. It's not like some I've seen where it's really only a quick reference guide and you have to look up the rest of it online or on the CD. In the box we also get a USB power adapter, because this camera only charges through USB. Because if you look all over it, there is no DC power input anywhere on this. You only get the USB port inside the LCD screen there. So that can be a downside, because if the camcorder is in use, it will not charge. It can only charge when the camcorder is turned off. So if you're running low on battery power and you want to keep recording, there's not much you can do except have another battery on hand that's fully charged, and even then you would have to turn off the camcorder for a few seconds while you change the battery. That may be a big downside if you're considering doing long recording. And of course this little battery they give you is only good for about an hour. Also in the box is a USB cable. It's unusually thick for a USB cable, and it has one of these big filters on it. So compared to most USB cables these days, which are very thin, this one's actually pretty good. And you also get a standard composite AV cable. This model does not come with an HDMI cable. The camcorder has a manual lens shutter, and it has your typical controls that you would expect from any camcorder. But one unusual thing is that the photo button is only a single step button, because I think when you take a photo, all it really does is take a still frame from the video. So there's no half step position where it focuses. You just push it and it takes the photo right away. So this camcorder is definitely not recommended for taking photos, because I'm sure they won't look any good if they're just still frames from the video. Inside the LCD we do get some buttons, unlike Sony's camcorders recently. We get a button to switch between intelligent, auto, and manual modes. We get a delete button for the playback mode and a power button. Then we have the HDMI and composite AV output jacks and the USB jack and the release lever for the battery. On the bottom is just a tripod mount and the slot for the SD card. And I found that the door on this opens a little too easily, so if you just happen to brush your hand against the bottom of the camcorder, it usually will flip open on you without intending to. Beneath the lens we have the stereo microphone, and on this side is a really cheap and thin hand strap, which is so uncomfortable to use that I wonder why they even bothered to put it on. They should have just given you a lanyard strap. The LCD is not a touchscreen. Instead you get these buttons to use. I don't like these forward directional buttons. They should have just given you a joystick like previous models. But nevertheless, the menu system on this is very good. It's actually very easy to navigate through with the buttons here. It doesn't have any artifacts of having been designed for a touchscreen, so it's not clumsy to go through with the push buttons. You can change the recording format between AVC HD, iframe, which is a 960 by 540 resolution at a very high bit rate. I think it's 28 megabits, which is designed to reduce quality loss when editing and re-encoding the video. Although the audio in that format is only 128 kilobits. So I don't know why they made the video bitrate so high but kept the audio at such a low bitrate. And there's MP4 mode, which is 640 by 360 resolution, which was actually a new feature on this model compared to the previous model. I don't know why they added such a low resolution to it. It would have been more practical if they gave you a 720p mode in MP4 format. But it is a very low bit rate. It's only 1.5 megabits. So if you want to take very small files for some reason, such as if you have a very slow internet connection, then maybe it would be useful. But otherwise, it's not really useful for anything. In the AVC HD mode, you get 3 different bitrate settings. HA is, I believe, 17 megabits. HG is 13, and HE is 5 megabits, which is unusually low for AVC HD. And it even says in the menu here, it says not suitable for filming fast motion. You can turn the electronic image stabilization on or off. You get auto slow shutter, backlight compensation, intelligent contrast, color night recording, which just reduces the shutter speed in low light. You get a wind cut for the audio, and different scene modes, and that's about it. And on the back here we can switch it into playback mode, which says no data because I don't have anything recorded on this card yet from this camcorder. But it's not a bad menu system. I've used it for a couple test photos and videos, and it's not too bad to navigate through. So that's about it for the features and controls of the Panasonic HC-V110. So now let's look at some test footage. It is an unusually warm late December day. It's in the 50s now, and it's supposed to go up to almost 70 tomorrow, which might be a record temperature. So needless to say, all this snow we got will surely melt by tomorrow. A lot of it's already melting today. This is recording in the highest quality mode with intelligent contrast turned on. And there's my 2011 Mazda 2 in the garage. It's just under 50,000 miles. It's like 49,800 something right now. Looks like it's doing a pretty good job of adjusting to the brightness. As I aim it outside and then back inside, you can see it rapidly adjusts. When you zoom in, the lack of optical image stabilization makes itself very noticeable. Looks pretty steady until you really get close, and then it just cannot control the hand shaking. Right there is 20 times optical zoom, which optical image stabilization should have been able to keep steady, but this electronic stabilization obviously is not up to the task. So I'd say it's only good for about, right there is 10 times zoom, and that's about as good as this electronic stabilization can handle. So it's kind of ironic that they extended the zoom. I think the previous model was only like 42 times intelligent zoom. They extended it all the way to 72 times intelligent zoom, but they eliminated the optical image stabilization. So all that extra zoom is pretty much useless unless you're having it on a tripod. Going down the hill here, all the snow has already melted down here. So it's just up by my house that there's still some left on the ground. And we're at 49,918 right now. Here's a low light test of auto slow shutter turned off. I can see a little bit of graininess right here on this box, but it's not nearly as bad as the Sony HDR CX220 was. That was very grainy in low light. It seems like this one Although the colors are not as strong in low light, it's much less grainy. And here is with auto slow shutter turned on. So you can see it definitely got brighter. Although maybe you can see that it's slowing down the shutter speed a little bit. It's not very noticeable, but you can notice it. So it seems to do a pretty good job in low light. For some reason the image stabilizer icon is flashing. I don't know if that means that the image stabilizer doesn't work when you're in very low light. Again, this is with auto slow shutter turned on. And this is with auto slow shutter turned off. And the image stabilizer icon has stopped flashing, so I guess that's indicating that when you have auto slow shutter turned on, the image stabilizer does not work. Now let's just see, focusing from very close to more distant, and that was actually pretty good. The amount of time it took to refocus, that was almost instant. So go from something up close. Yeah, that's not bad. It's actually pretty good. And the amount of time it takes to refocus seems to be faster than the Sony was. So we go from really close-up focus on my finger to further away, and that's pretty good. That's the one thing I'm impressed with, the speed of the autofocus. The V110 is actually a 2013 model, and for 2014 they've replaced it with the V130, although the only real upgrade it has is a backlit image sensor for better low light sensitivity. It still only has an electronic image stabilizer. If you want optical image stabilization, you have to upgrade to the V250, which costs $100 more. The V250 also gives you 1080p progressive video, while the V130, as well as the V110 I'm using now, can only do 1080i interlaced video.